So long, so long, they say. So long, Gay Bowser. I'm alive. I've I've made it. Oh, ooh, oh! I forgot about that. Hold on. I made it's nothing. Shows what music I was playing. This wasn't supposed to be there though. It has been. It's been 8 days. It's been 8 days. The internet could survive without me for 8 days. I think. In some ways, it probably preferred it. I was busy. Okay. It was a busy time. I was doing a lot, and I'm glad I did. So without further ado, before we get into anything else, welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. Been a minute. We're working on this. Had some shit move around. Then I had to get ready for something else. Been meaning to get back to drawing this. Hopefully now, this will be the day that I do this. And yesterday will be the day that I do painting. Couldn't yesterday though. I needed to have a day off. So we got back in Monday. I was pretty honestly, it's pretty good. I have to give the pilot credit. His takeoff was rougher than his landing. Like his landing was like perfect. The takeoff, I have never felt a plane drop before, which was fun because I'm sure everybody else shit their pants, and I was like, cool. I feel like I'm the best worst person to be on a plane because in my brain, I'm like, I really like planes. Planes are the coolest thing. And I'm constantly thinking at the same time, if we started stalling now, what that would look like. that's what goes through my head whenever I start flying, is to be like, now if we started getting into a stall right now, how would we salvage this? Well, welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, Isaac MCCanary. If you're if you're here because you knew me before the trip, welcome back. If you're here because you met me on the trip, welcome here. Uh, I'm sure this will be maybe like or unlike what you saw in Vegas because that was a lot more focused on trying to get something done, and this is me just trying to get something done over a long period of time. This is a production piece. I've been working on this. This one might take me another month or two. Like I had a couple days there. I've had at least two stints in which I had to like break it up because I was doing something else. So we'll be coming back to this finally. The last couple weeks just had to move some stuff around in my schedule, as well as was just very tired. But hey, we're here, and I'm glad. And this is the progress we've made it to, which honestly, progress-wise, we've made really good progress. Because in reality, what I need to do next is maybe one more thing. Nah, guys, here's a little insight into production, especially animation production. If you're out there and you're like, why don't they just draw it more or draw it gooder? One of the big things about animation is that anytime you don't have to do something is the best decision to make to not do it. Because to do anything in animation requires a lot of production value, no matter what. And if you can determine, should I add this, and go, is it necessary, and say, not really, you probably shouldn't do it, especially in animation. but really, we're back to animation. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad. I hope if you came to thing, hope if you were in the Vegas, you had a good time. Saw you in Vegas. If you saw me in Vegas, you didn't see me in Vegas, Don't blame you. Vegas is fucking expensive. Guys, don't go to Vegas unless you really like Vegas. Now, to be fair, it wasn't really a vacation. It was just kind of like a fun trip. But I'm just like doing the math in my head, and I'm like, there's probably so many more places I'd like to go to as a vacation than Vegas. Just simply on the fact that Vegas is fucking expensive. It's really expensive. I feel like I can't really be blamed for that. It's 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 a lot, man. Vegas was a lot. I didn't spend under $20 for a meal at any point. There was nothing. And as usual, I'm going to start with my warm up. My warm up is doing cleanup. This will also get me back in the mindset to see where I left off. And part of what that rant earlier was about is essentially what I would like to do next. Well, first off, let's start here. Fix eyebrows just slightly. And eyes a little bit bigger. Yeah, if you enjoy Vegas, I'm glad. I actually would say Vegas is not really my vibe as far as like a city goes. It's not quite what I'm looking for in a city personally. Funny. So, oh no, they do kind of shrink. These eyes also need to be bigger. Let's kind of discuss what I was saying before about the whole production thing. Is that animation takes a lot of work, even compared to other pieces of visual medium, especially if you're doing cough cough the right thing, which is making your animation. Not to say that procedural animation can't be done and can't be good. We'll get into that because the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, I have a closing bit that I think is funny, that I'm almost a little bit like, maybe we retire it and do something else because I don't want to come off as somebody who actually supports it because the whole purpose of the bit is to make fun of it, but it's starting to finally rear its ugly head of how bad AI generation is, and hello, Coomslayer. Uh-huh. The very existence of Vegas is justified by being the backdrop of New Vegas. So you're saying the only reason why Vegas can exist is because Vegas can only exist to provide a literal post-apocalyptic setting to which fair, actually. Actually. Quite fair. I started a playthrough of New Vegas. I need to continue it. I haven't finished New Vegas yet. Actually, the only difference would be that the nice parts of Vegas would no longer exist. largely speaking, it's not even that it was like bad looking either. I think it looked nice. I think it looked nice. It looked quite nice in Vegu. Vegu has a nice aesthetic to it. There's a lot of neat things in Vegu. The place just is fucking expensive, and I don't gamble. I don't gamble. Gambling's not for me. I say as I'm like, every now and then I was like, if I went to a blackjack, if I went to blackjack, I wonder how it would do. I feel like I feel like blackjack is one of those things that I encountered enough in video games that I have to remind myself that it still doesn't work like that in real life, because usually the odds are stacked not to be at all flexible. So pretty much that's all there is, or at least that's where we were. We were on the Vegas Strip. Like I said, it's neat. One of the things I have to compliment it, if it isn't completely chock-a-block filled with people, is pretty walkable. Not bad for walking, honestly. Not terrible walking. But I don't know. The artificiality of it just doesn't jive with me. Not I which is a shame because I'm like probably the only person there who the thing I did like the most about Vegas was seeing all of the neat psychads, because I was like, whoa, psychads, what are you all doing here? Because I'm pretty sure cycads are not, in fact, desert plants. In fact, they are quite tropical plants. And they planted so many cycads in the middle of a desert. And I feel so bad for all of those cycads because they probably take an ungodly amount of water because they're cycads. Cycads, as far as I know, do not belong in a desert. I did. I did get to see the orb. I love the. Now, if there's anything I do love about Vegas, it's the fucking orb. The orb is great. Everybody loves the orb. The orb is awesome. I respect the orb, as all should. Though, I wouldn't say it did anything particularly crazy for me this time. Just was kind of there. It was just kind of there. Actually, I really need to stop that there. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, that's good. Honestly, weather-wise, it also wasn't that bad. But that's just because I like hot. Listen, for me, I was telling people, like, Chicago murdered me. Chicago in the winter was awful. I am not cold. I am not a cold weather individual. I'm not a cold weather fish. I am a warm weather fish. I need at least heat or temperature. And while the first day we were there, it definitely was like hot. Like you would go outside and be like, "Wow, it's hot." It wasn't sweltering. I don't know. It helps that it was actually very dry. I am a lizard. I'm a bird lizard. Uh, like it really didn't feel all that bad to me. It was like uncomfortable, but like for me, it was like a tolerable uncomfortable. Whereas the cold turns me into a pile of brittle sticks called my bones. My bones become a pile of brittle sticks. bad. It's really bad. Sometimes. Not a lot of times, but sometimes. Oh, I need to turn this off. There we go. Now I can see. I was like, why is it so hard? But otherwise, it was great. That's just my judgment of Vegu. The show itself was great. Had a great time. I sold out. I ran out of things to draw because I didn't bring enough supplies to draw. That didn't mean that I didn't bring a lot of supplies to draw, which is great. Hmm. Recently found that you inherited your old man's circulation condition. Which means your blood vessels in your hands clamp down, get painful, tingly, cold. See, and people are like, but you just put on more layers. And I'm like, I don't know who you people are that you can just turn yourself into a burrito. And that's my thing. You can't go outside. You can't go outside in the cold. I can tolerate going outside in the hot. This is why I do not agree when people are like, I like it cold than hot. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I'm stuck inside. And even when I'm stuck inside, I'm still cold. Layers only do so much for me. And if you do have to go outside, it feels like there's no amount of bundling up that will keep the cold, for me anyways, from bothering me. So I still maintain if your body can handle it, your biology can handle it. Not everyone's biology can handle it. Flip side, I get it. If your biology can't handle the hot, I get it. You go outside when it's a bazillion degrees out and go, wow, I feel like I'm dying. That's how I feel in the cold. That's all. Just want the clarification that when I'm miserable in the cold is the same feeling as other people being miserable in the hot. I always feel like people can't believe that I dislike the cold so much. It physically harms me. Mm-hmm. See, and I have very little surface area, so I can actually vent heat very, very easily. Like, I actually shed heat very easily. Which is also, again, why I'm like, people who complain that it's like, you can only take off so much clothes, that still is down to a biology thing. I also feel like I can more easily escape the heat than I can the cold. It is hard, at least for me, to escape the cold. Heat, just get out of the heat. I just get out of it. Bad. Get him, Silos. Kill him. Get my thyroid checked out. Does my thyroid have something to do with that? I don't know. Silos, thank you. I'm gonna do that. The hoe. Kill the hoe. Kill the hoe. Kill the hoe. God, I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of that in a long time. Buttons. What buttons? What buttons? You got buttons? Silence, you got buttons? Also, I gotta say, I don't know if it's just being able to take that break for animation in general, if something has just been changing with my kind of like hand-eye coordination, my patience, whatever. I definitely feel like I've gotten much more steady at being able to clean up a lot of this to actually have consistent frame by frame. So they're so mid-pandemic. Wow, am I so 2000 and late? That would just be me. That would be normal for me these days. I'm perpetually stuck in 2008. You know, I can't even make that joke. What would I be doing in 2008 right now? It is the end of June in 2008. That would have been I graduated high school in 2011. So I would have been a sophomore in high school. Hey, Creeper. If I graduated in 2011, 2008, it would have been June of 2008. I probably would have been in the middle of the woods with a bunch of Boy Scouts. You were working at a Costco as a food demonstrator. Demonstrate your food for me. Do a little. See, I feel like food demonstrator makes sense for what they would do, but as far as what you're demonstrating, it's very silly to me because you don't do any demonstration when it would the only demonstration you could do at a food demonstration is demonstrate eating the food, which I think is the best way to get yourself fired as a food demonstrator. Like you don't do any demonstrating at the food demonstration. Do you? Yeah, that's not demonstration. It's just handing people food. The waiter isn't the food demonstrator. If anything, a waiter is more of a food demonstrator than a food demonstrator is. Oh, that's fair. If it had any food prep or food cooking. Uh huh. This is. Did you baby bird? Did you airplane the food into some people's mouths? Say ah. Make little plane noises. Drive the car into the garage. Car into the car garage. Uh huh. It's just you mentioning the term food demonstrator really put a like thought in my mind of how silly the term food demonstration really is. But I'm gonna have to just start tweening it in. That way I don't have to do more work, and hopefully it won't look bad. But God, hoping I could just get away with that. I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that now. Hold on. Do I have something open or something? Something clicked weird. I don't know why it keeps on giving me a Windows error noise. There, I fixed it. I don't know what I did. I clicked something to click off of something to make it work again. Yeah, that definitely squiggles a lot less, which is good. That does warm me back up, so we'll go ahead and start. Because I remembered last time, like, not really making much forward progress. I remember not making much forward progress. So this time I think we'll focus more on forward progress now that we're kind of like, eh. I just wanted to fix some stuff. One of the things I want to do more, and I might have to stop doing something else that has ended up taking that role, but I can't help myself, is one of the things I want to do is I want to be working on tweens while I'm just like kind of chilling out. Like I could put something on or be hanging out with friends and just have animate opened and then be fixing tweens between streams. Because honestly, the focus I want for the streams is forward progress through getting the length of the piece out. So like continuing on the adding on to frames if I can. But I don't want to I keep on forgetting to even open it. I need to make it a habit to open it, honestly. And I mean either way, it will be progress no matter what. Now, oh, I see what's happened. Wait, no, I don't. Wait, why didn't that work? Oh, I know why. Trying to. So we got this, right? Do that. No. I have to remember how to use this godforsaken thing. I have to remember how to use this godforsaken thing. Want to see a Billy Mays-esque food advertisement review? Uh-huh. Yeah, but Billy Mays is not a cool guy. Though he is also very dead. Eh. Let me see. I just heard he just was kind of an asshole. He was just very like vain. He was just kind of a jerk. It was no Bob Ross. That's for damn sure. Thanks. Yeah, yeah. Going to try. Like that. He apparently was not a chill dude. Bobbert Ross is always a good boy. Mr. Bobbert Ross has been playing a lot of influence on my work recently, actually. Been very, very nice. Honestly. I feel like it shows. Especially in some of my more environmental artwork. In fact, it's become so prevalent that it's hard for me to go a single stream without at least mentioning his name, because he's played a lot of influence on me recently, which is good. Bob Ross is a good boy. Bob Ross is a good boy. Like that. Pretty much, I'm just easing out of this one. They do. This is just Canary. They're just Canary. This is what their name is. Their name is Canary. Because I'm not creative. They are kind of like, other than me, other than this guy down here, other than them, they're really like my only other mascot. She's been a character that I've been working on for some time. I feel like pretty much since I kind of took on MCCanary, she's at least appeared in several different forms over the course of the last 5-ish years. Saying a lot, I feel like. It does. I love Toho Jazz. It's so good. Wait, what are you doing? He wanted to get it. Ah, he changed his mind. What are you doing? What are you doing, bunny butt? What are you doing, bunny butt? But the show was good. I'm glad we did the show, and we'll have another show in Atlanta. And that one will, if I do go to it, which I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm sold now. If I can go to one, I will go to one. And every time I've gone to one, they've gone better for a lot of various reasons. And one of the reasons why I would like to actually do this is because Atlanta, I might like Atlanta more than Vegas. Like, this is my thing. I like cities as cities. Las Vegas isn't a city. Las Vegas is weird. Las Vegas is not like, doesn't feel like a place that people live in. No one lives in Las Vegas except for the people who live in Las Vegas, obviously. But like where we were in Las Vegas, nobody lives there. That's not a place that people live. That's a place that people go to dump money into a hole. That's not a and that's what I like that's what I want out of like places to go, especially I'm going to go to play like cities is to go to a place where people actually live, and feel like a place that people live in. Um yep. It's a big adult amusement park, and making me not like that is saying a lot because I like amusement parks. That said, the one cheap thing in Vegas that blows my mind, there was $1 and $2 cheap beer, and I was like, what the fuck? That's not a thing here. The only cheap thing in Vegas is the alcohol. Well, the cheap alcohol. The only cheap thing in Vegas is cheap alcohol. Which makes sense. All right. Go slightly down like that. Oh, that's the other arm. It's like, what is that? Check. Yep, that's good. The Open Warhammer event. I didn't know they were having one there. Yeah, we went for the Magic pod, which was really, really good. I drew a lot. I drew a lot again. I met a lot of people. It was super fun, honestly. Had a good time. Which reminds me, I think there's an update for Dark Tide. I should check that out here soon. See if Jam wants to try Dark Tide. Dang. All right. But it was a good time. Had a good time. Ah, that's fair. I remember liking it, but I also like Helldivers, and I really liked Vermintide as well. Vermintide was quite a good time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What? Hmm. Build up. I want to make sure that this is just easing out, so I'm going to add a little bit more weight. I don't know if I like. I don't know if I like that. There we go. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Atlanta. I haven't been there since I was young, and I will actually admit I didn't really get a chance to get an idea of what was in Atlanta. I remember there being a bunch of Waffle Houses. That's what I remember of Atlanta is a bunch of Waffle Houses. One frame. Actually, I made this move too much. Nope. Delete your art. I don't know what you're talking about. I love Waffle Houses. I've been to many chill Waffle Houses in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. Hmm. See, this is the trouble. I will say, like, I'm very much in the mindset to be able to trace. And I'm like, I need to move this. I'm trying to figure out how to move it. How do I want to move this? The Final Fantasy 14 PvP zone. Meet me in the Waffle House. Hmm. That think. Speaking of Final Fantasy, boy, the Final Fantasy set was very, very popular. I have not seen so many people. It's funny is like Chicago was pretty good. Chicago was really, really good, and Vegas we had so many people just for Final Fantasy, and it makes sense. Oh, it makes sense. So much so that um, when I heard about it, like the last day, we were at our end of the show deep dish pizza fest. Um, Somebody brought up a card that was like super expensive, and I was like, that seems absurd. And then they mentioned that it was drawn by Nomura, and I went, oh, okay, that's a lot less absurd. I will admit, it is actually really cool that there is original art by Nomura done on a card. That is pretty cool. It is insane how expensive that card is. It is absolutely bonkers. I don't know if he just did one, if he just did Cloud, or if he did others, but I'm just like, wow. I'm both not surprised and completely surprised. Yeah, that moved too much. That moved a little bit too much. I didn't need to move it that much. Oh, nice. Rare Umbreon for 1200 for 1200k. Well, for 1200 for 1.2k is pretty good. Damn. Hey man, collector's items are just the collector's items are just modern treasure. That they're just treasure of the modern age. Continue with that. One thing I'm trying to do a little bit better, especially with this, is being able to pay attention to what I just drew and not just being like, yeah, that was good enough. I'm trying to really watch where I put certain things. And I will actually admit, I'm really excited to finish the current piece that I'm working on, the current art piece that I'm working on, just because I I don't know. I've definitely also had a lot of painting on the mind, and I want to do more painting. The last one I was working on was a really, really good painting. So I'm just kind of like, I really want to work on that more. Really need to finish a video, man. Ugh. There's so many things. Why didn't you do it the last 2 days? I was busy being a dinosaur, okay? I was very busy being a dinosaur. I was busy recovering being a dinosaur. Mm-hmm. There is a video I've been meaning to finish, and I've had a lot on my plate recently, trying to manage this and then keep up streaming and other things. So I've been trying to finish that video. It's like right there. I just need to make the credits. And it's late. It's so late. I'm gonna post it and people are gonna be like, why'd you post this? This was like from content 6 months ago, and it's cause I don't know, because I couldn't make it fast enough anyways, but I put a lot of work into it and it was fun to make. And the thing that sucks is it was supposed to be fast to make. The only reason why it didn't get out like being made faster is I just had too many things get in the way, which is always the hard thing with making videos. Is if you make I feel like video development, much like animation, is one of the hardest things to keep up with because I could at least say with my artwork, I can just sit down and 1, 2 sessions be done. Stuff like this needs a production, like it needs a production flow, which is why I'm trying to find ways to work in production in doing other things in the meantime, because as soon as I only could do this once a week and I miss a week, then that's just happened to way longer. So, long production things take a long time to do. And anytime there's a delay, you feel it. It hurts. Trying to decide. So, I'm trying to decide if I want to draw another frame, a different frame. Because if I want to go from frame to frame, that would still be ideal. I need an endpoint for this. I need to figure out where this character is going to end up, and then get the frames to it. Would help me a lot. Is really I've never had really that much of an issue. Mainly my issue is just being able to when I do get delayed on something, being able to pick it back up. Cuz like I've almost like this project alone I've already dropped or already had some close calls of at least once being like, where do I go from here? Not because I can't finish the piece, but because like I was inundated or focused on something else or whatever. Uh, but I definitely know I can usually get something done. Usually. So, just takes me some time. something like this. Show that she's holding it. That. Uh-huh. It's tough. It's tough being a person. Definitely want this shape. And here's the thing. What I need to remember is I need to use the tools that I have at hand and also be willing to just be willing to remember that there's not there's nothing to say that this kind of stuff like stenciling and stuff and like manipulation of things wasn't isn't done in the practice actually, like physically moving stuff around like this. Honestly, one of the things that really helped me a lot, with animation and stuff was, and with art in general, was realizing how much, even with physical medium, a lot of it is still just using tools and moving them around. Like, you'd be surprised how much suddenly having it be a digital medium is just now it's on a computer and slightly more accessible. You'd be surprised how much of mediums are not as permanent as you would think, given the nature of some mediums. Just put eyes there for reference. Put these there for reference. My brows also are going to go down, probably. And this is what I'm trying to do, Mars. I'm trying to be a little bit more cognizant in stuff like this to be able to better draw this kind of thing. So if the head tilts down again, got it. Rotates forward. Rotates forward. Right here. This would rotate up a little bit. Yeah. There we go. I think I'm just going to have to roll with it. Do that. Do that. Also, to anybody who met me in Vago, thank you for letting me draw you a dinosaur. Honestly, like I'm so glad so many people like I feel like I had even more people want me to draw dinosaurs, and that's all I want is for people to make me draw dinosaurs. Please. That's it. That's all I want. For people to make me draw dinosaurs. There we go. Oops. There we go. Sound like that. And again, this is not the next frame. This is actually, so this is what we call frame to frame, where essentially I'm trying to draw the next keyframe that I want the character to end up at. So, and this gives me a little bit more consistency and guidance to be able to be like, oh, that's where I want that to be. There we go. That. That said, always remember, pain of frame by frame, that it's a lot of work. It's so much work. Always remember the pain of frame by frame animation. It's so much. Yep, that seems about right. That seems about right. Especially proportion-wise, I think that's correct. Make the eye a little bit bigger. This is why ideally what I need to do is I need to go to another layer. I need to do like a sketch layer where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of sketching it in. And then I have this layer. Then I have a layer like this where I'm overlay, where if I'm doing my post pose, because I still need to, because I'm drawing the still frame, but I still need the reference of the previous frame to know that I got the proportions, everything right. Should still do like a light version and then clean it up in a more solid version. That's really what I should do. Also, a shout out to the guy who was the guy. I met a couple people actually who were like, "You know dinosaurs?" I'm like, "Hell yes, I do." That was great. I'm glad a lot of people really enjoyed that too. 'Cause, like, I do know something. I know some things about dinosaurs you wouldn't believe. Just trying to remember how I drew. Okay. Ooh. That. Uh-huh. I've actually been learning dinosaur facts again recently. I feel like I've really been engrossed the dinosaur stuff recently, which is very, very good. Like, I hadn't thought about dinosaurs. I feel like I hadn't thought about dinosaurs for a really, really long time, actually, other than, like, being like, I still like them, I just don't know how to find information on them. And then fairly recently, I'm just, like, completely... I'm, fi- I'm finding, like, YouTubers and, like, a bunch of info all the time. And I'm just like, God, I'm glad that dinosaurs are still cool. Because they are. They're the coolest, man. That said, I have found an addiction of sorts of I've been trying out Path of Titans. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Can't help it. I just want to be a dinosaur. There, that'll help. Trying to remember exactly how I drew the collar. It doesn't have to be the thing is it doesn't have to be the exact same because the big thing to remember is that because this frame is kind of like divorced a little bit. I feel like I have some capacity to do something different here. Good. It's not quite the same. That said, I might end up accidentally doing one of those things where I draw it different than I drew it someplace else because I quote unquote fixed it, and whilst it probably looks better here, it's gonna make it look really weird. Oh well, I do the best I can. I'ma just do the best I can. Button is here, which means that this actually needs to go up and around here. Like that. Do something like that. Have one collarbone that way, maybe? This is one of the real struggles of animation is when you get to parts like this, especially when you've had a long production like this. I can't even imagine having, you know, a dozen different people working on one project because that means that is going to cause somebody change like even though officially tweening can be a job, it still means that somebody else is touching it. There we go. That's what I was color was bugging me. Color was bugging me. Color will still probably bug me. I'll have to do some fixing on it. Still can't believe I'm doing this for you, Silos, you crazy bastard. The irony is this doesn't even count towards it. Just me be overwork. This is just me doing 1.2. At this rate, you're gonna have 2 million, which means it'll appear twice, but I am not doing it again. Sorry, you only get me doing this once. And if I ever come back to it, it's because I've decided to work on it again and update it. And if you have 2 million by the time I finish this, there's not going to be any updating to do. It'll still be new. We go. Much better. Oops. This won't move that much. We'll move a little bit. Actually, we'll move up a little too. Since the head is tilting down, the ponytail will move up along the head axis because it's a rotational force. It isn't just everything move down. Your neck is a pivot. I'm going to a bit broader, maybe. Like I said, this is a tween frame, and with it being a tween frame, or with it being the next frame, like a frame to frame, I need to kind of like treat it like its own new pose. I need to treat it like its own new pose, which means I need to reference the previous parts for proportion and nothing else. I cannot be considering it as like where it should be based on a previous frame, because in reality that's not, things are going to sit different because things have happened since that last period of time. Just gonna add real fast a little detail. Onion, onion. And again, I'm mainly just working on trying to get that built out. A wrinkle there. A wrinkle there. And this might be also something I have to remind myself is every few steps, essentially, you think of the way that I try to think about it is I prefer straight ahead animation. I do prefer that. But usually uh I so that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Uh usually um I try to like checkpoint it. I try to checkpoint the animation. So I will like do a pose, and I'll do two a pose, Then I'll do straight ahead animation until I hit my next pose, and then I'll draw a new pose. I think that's where I'm like pipeline wise. Like that's usually the way that I work and process my animations. I hope that the evening shift goes well. I will admit I have fought really hard to leave time open for not evening shift. Because one, that's when I do this stuff, and two, and I just ugh, I did my late night time. I've tried super early and super late. I cannot do it. To which, oh my god, I think that the existence of a 5 a.m. flight is a criminal crime. Why do we have 5 a.m. flights? Somebody give me a reason. Somebody give me a valid reason. Because you can't. Because they're unethical. They don't feel good for me, and I certainly sure as hell don't think they would be good for anybody who's doing the flying. Oof. Oof. Yeah, I've just mainly had morning, and then I do all of my stream shit. That's good. Cause yeah, guys, fun thing that happened to me, flying out to Vegas. Uh, my plane broke. My plane broke. The plane broke. What I mean by that is when I went to leave on Wednesday. When I went to leave on Wednesday, I got there. Get there early because you should always get to the plane early because you never know what'll go wrong. Uh, uh, I have no idea. I have no idea. This is probably a 737. 737s are standard now. Probably so. But um I get there and I'm waiting and I notice that hey, the plane has already kind of like connected to the umbilical for the passengers, like an hour early. I was like, "Oh, okay. You're ready. That's good." And they it's almost time for boarding and they go everybody who's going to be getting in anybody who's getting in to the next flight, there seems to be some issue with the plane. Maintenance is going to take a look at it. Shouldn't take more than an hour to fix. They were like maybe an hour, so hour delay. I was like, well, that's not great, but I checked with them because I actually had a layover, so I was a little concerned. I was like, I noticed like people are going up to them to like because they also were like, if you need to reschedule a flight or anything, we'll help you out, whatever. If you have a layover or whatever, and I was like, I have a layover. Um, so like I got in line and I spoke to them and they were like, no, that should be fine. Like even if we're an hour late, you'll arrive about an hour in advance of the next flight. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You should be able to board. Then like 10 minutes later, it went from an hour at takeoff being around 3 to 6 o'clock, which was like, well, that's not good. That's not gonna work. And then a few minutes later, they were like, so it turns out, um, there might be some, something seems wrong, and the pilot has ordered a replacement part. So probably 6 p.m. is probably not going to be the time. And it was like, cool. And the reason why that really sucks is it originally was supposed to leave at 2 p.m. on Wednesday and arrive there at like 6 p.m. And instead I had to leave at 5 a.m. And ugh, we left on time, but ugh. And before you're like, what? wait, if you went on a 5 a.m. flight, did you like sleep at all? And I was like, not really. Here's why. This is the second time I've ever flown. I think flying is dope as shit. I wasn't gonna sleep. I just wasn't gonna sleep. Like it wasn't even any necessarily anything like obstructive. I wasn't gonna sleep because I haven't flown very much and flying is cool. So I stayed awake for the whole flight. And then we got to Vegas. We walked around for a bit, which again, actually would say walked about the same amount that I did in Chicago before the show. And I have to say, my feet were not as bad as Chicago. My body was not as bad as Chicago, which continues to me seem to feel like uh, kind of validating in a certain sense that I don't. An easier way to do this. Oh, no, I don't remember. But the Vegas trip, like that first day, was not really as bad as Chicago was, except for the fact that essentially by the time I finally got like, because we were also getting set up at one point, we finally got back to the hotel. I was I was like passing out. I was tired. Um and when I did the math, uh I had like been awake for almost 24 hours because between Kansas and Vegas was like a 2 hour time shift. And to account for those 2 hours, I had stayed up an extra 2 hours and like went to bed at like 9 o'clock, which would have been 11 o'clock Kansas time. The reason why it was 24 hours was I woke up at like 11:30 and just was like, I can't go back to sleep. It was just like, I'm not falling back to sleep. I don't know why I'm not. I'm not falling back to sleep. And so thus I was like, well, I get to have this experience, which again was not actually that bad and actually served to be a very, very wonderful night of sleep where I was completely passed out. So, hey, it worked out. Just gonna start. Start moving these down. So yeah, other than that, it was a good time. Very, very good time. Other than that, and how obscenely expensive Vegas is. Because fuck that. Vegas is wildly expensive. I do not understand why. I mean, I do understand why, but doesn't mean I'm like, this is okay. Like I said, I'm just not a fan of gambling. I was just like, well, not really interested in any of the gambling. And food, whilst pretty good, like overall, pretty good. Like there was plenty of good food to have. There just were no cheap options. Which sucks. Yuck. Awful. That sucks. All right. Move the nose this way. The fun of tweening, figuring out where everything moves. Oh, that nose moved way too much. No, 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 I don't want to do that. Not that quick. Hmm. What's funny is I wouldn't mind trying a train sometime. I actually think a train ride would be a lot of fun, actually. I wouldn't mind it. So the place I want to go, I will have to probably fly, which is fine. I'm excited. I hope I get a chance. Do There's certainly it would be nice because like the thing is even though it's not as fast as flying, it's still you're not in charge of the vehicle. You're not in charge of any part of the train, so you don't need to worry about the train. Also, probably say that compared to a plane, it's much safer from a general vibes. I think it is safe. The trains are probably a lot safer than planes. And I like planes. I like planes and I like flying on planes, and trains are safer. How did I? Oh. You know what? I gotta work with it because I did it like correct in a certain sense. Just gotta work with the tween. You just gotta work with the tween sometimes. And this is the tough part, is figuring out. I just think they're too expensive. Because actually, I think as a mode of transportation, they're great. I do think planes are great as a mode of transportation, but they should only be for exactly what they're best for. Long, long distance. You should not have to fly a plane. You should not have to fly a plane in the same country that you're in. Hot take. Should you fly? Because, like, I'm not going to take a boat. Or am I? I'm like, or could I? Could I train boat? Is an option. No, I'm not going to take a boat, as silly as that would be. I'm not going to take a boat. Uh, what is it? I don't know how that would work, but it is an option. I take a train. Oh, I am like, I wonder how much the price difference to take a train to a boat would be compared to just flying. It would be longer, but I don't care. Time is time. Time takes time, whatever. Um, I'm like, it's just silly enough to me that I might consider that. But, um, uh, for my own direct purposes, for my own secrets. For my own special person I want to visit. But I do think flying is convenient. I think flying is insanely convenient, and I think that is a good thing. And I do think it is a good thing, and I do think it is a thing that should exist. I definitely am. I am a proponent for flying if flying could be treated ethically. And I think the problem I have with flying is so much less that flying is unsafe from a technical standpoint, so much as it's the way that flying is managed is dangerous. I feel like flying is managed dangerously. I don't think flying itself is dangerous, and I don't think if people are able to do it ethically, it would be dangerous. I think it's only dangerous because it's also managed so horrendously. Just hearing the working conditions of pilots, the people who have maybe one of the hardest jobs you could have, sounds abysmal. So, yeah, I would actually fight more for the belief that I want flying to exist because it can be safe and ethically done and doesn't have to be by demand, because the fact that by demand flying exists is kind of fucked up. Hot take. It literally is one of the hardest things we could do. Why would we make it also on demand? I do not understand. Yep, it's a problem. Oh, Henry. Oh, Henry. You know what? I know what I need to do more. So here's something I need to do a little bit more is I need to be a little bit more confident and remember that I can add frames. What I'm doing is now I'm trying to get to the next pose and I'm going to see how the motion is and then I'm going to revise it and then I add frames where I need them or remove frames where I don't need them. I have to just do the work. Part of me is like, how do I make sure to do this in one go? And the other part of me needs to remember, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you can't do that in animation. The most important thing is if I'm keeping drawing, not am I drawing with the least amount of work. Because the least amount of work is always going to be what'll get you the result, not the planning. What'll get you the least amount of result, or the least amount of work will be doing the work. Gobbles. Henry's upset. Government-owned enterprises. If only we had those. And even if we do, they're still for profit. My country is broken. Yeah, they need to do it this way because this will be a pivot. One of the things that you want to maintain with the idea of animation when something moves is that things move on pivots. Very few things ever just move in a straight line. Things move on joints. So, for example, you have an arm, right? You have an arm. There's an elbow, an arm, hand, right? When the hand moves, so if it moves down, it doesn't just move straight down. The reason why is because if it did that, if you just moved it straight down, if I can do this, if you just moved it straight down, like this, moved this shape straight down, one, that means that the motion you'd have is this, which doesn't make sense because you want it rotating on this axis. And if you do it like this, if you'll notice, the, the length of it changes. The length of it changes. Well, actually, it should be going out like that. Like it should be swinging out because you want this to stay the same size because it's a solid thing. It's a pendulum. It's a pivot. It's a thing. So, your ad support is appreciated. Thank you for the penny, Bezos. Now go to hell, Bezos. I feel like I'm allowed to insult Bezos until he starts paying my rent. He's not really doing that yet. And when you have like a shape like this, especially when it's only moved a little bit, it's not so bad. Like you don't have to worry about it as much. I feel like the squishiness of the human body kind of helps get away with a couple of stuff like that. And the way that I particularly draw, I'm very like squishy, regardless of anything. But I am trying to focus more and more on like, hey, if it's like a bone, there is a bone. People are filled with bones. We're not filled with gelatin. If anything, we're bones covered in gelatin. Well, that's the VOD title. I had to think for a second there because Jello and gelatin are spelled very differently. Gelatin. I would not eat gelatin, but for some reason Jello is tasty. Give me the Jello and it's great. Give me the Glatin and I go, ugh. Is that poison? Is it poison? That, yeah, moving. Got that line pretty much on point. Like this got pushed down. And you know what? I'm going to work with it. That? What? Latin or Jello? See, that's not the part that bothers me about it because I literally cook bone broth. I boil the bones all the time. I stew the bones all the time. That ain't even a bother to me. Just the difference in spelling bugs me because something about Jello is playful and gelatin is very like a oobleck substance. Jello's fun. Gelatin is a chemical. Jello is silly. Gelatin is an element. Uh-huh. Jello is playful. Play in the Jello. Play with me in the Jello. Actually, don't. That's gross. Somebody out there who likes Jello that way. I don't. Well, I do like slimes. Fuck. I have described myself as a boy-shaped slime. Which might change with time, we'll see. I've always kind of been nondescript shape. I like that. As time has gone on, I've only liked it more. It's true. Always kind of been a bit of an amorphous blob. But like, in a good way. I never thought it was a bad thing. Yep. There we go. Hopefully this time, because I feel like this will probably be kind of how it it'll go similarly to how last time went, though. I think I have also a little bit more time. Actually, it's only been 2 hours. Still have another hour. Woo, dropped frames. Will you mad? Will you be mad? Internet. The internet has been a lot better. The internet has been a lot better since I've gotten fiber. Thank God, though. Thank God I got fiber. God knows I fucking needed it. So I swore, I guess it was like this. Yeah, I guess I did need. I swore there was a faster way, but there. How long has it been since you've had it? Which might need more context. Always remember, guys, I never listen, not even to myself. Sometimes I say things, and then when you use the innocuous. I have actually learned this in my own kind of like speech pattern learning bullshit thing that I've stopped using the word it almost as much as possible. Because I actually think that the word it is a bad word. Not because it can't be used correctly, but because just 9 times out of 10, it's too vague. And I have realized it is better to just repeat a subject than it is to say the word it. It's just what I have learned from like me and like being like, wow, huh. Also, I just realized I'm working on frame 257. Fuck. Guys, I want to remind everyone animation is hard. And for everyone out there wondering why animators don't just draw at 60 frames or 48 frames a second and instead draw twos at 24 frames a second, this is the. Oh, you're just starting. Yeah, this is what it looks like when you're just starting. It is funny. There's a video by Noodle that I watched recently because he's an animator on YouTube. Everybody go check him out where he talks about animation. And then he had a video. What's funny is I saw his other video before I saw his official video about apparently people have been taking animation and have been frame generating animation to double or quadruple the frame rate and then saying it's good. But the problem is the frame generation isn't good. The problem is the frame generation isn't good. He uses a thing called interpolation, which is a tool, as he points out, is good interpolation can be used as a tool. Because what interpolation is when it's used correctly, is when if you have like a line, let's say we have, here, I can do this really fast actually. We're just gonna go to a random spot where you can't see anything. Interpolation, which I don't know how to demonstrate it here because I haven't tried it, and I want to maintain this. Frame generation is good in the right places. I use frame generation for video games. That's a good use of it because that's a technical thing. However, if you have an art animation thing, it's not the same because you're not frame generating to make up for performance in an animation. You're not doing that. You're not. It is meant to be presented at the frame rate that it has been drawn at. So I want to maintain that. Like, frame generation in the right places is good. I use it for video games. As Noodle points out, in video games are one of the few exceptions to the rule. The higher the frame rate, the better. It is objectively better. It is objectively better and subjectively tolerant is the way that I would put that. Because in a certain sense, frame rates in video games are something that I think is a good thing when they are higher, but not necessary if you can tolerate lower frame rates. That is something that I will die on that hill, is like, having a better frame rate is good. But if you can tolerate a lower frame rate, that's fine. It's also fine to tolerate lower frame rates. Like, I think also sometimes people go too far on the other side and are like, you can't play at 30. And I'm like, well, actually, I can't play at 30 anymore either. But if you don't have a computer that can run things at 60 and it can only run at 40 and it can only run at 30, I think that's fine. Because sometimes people don't have good tech. You know, I'm not going to blame somebody for not being able to run a game at a good enough frame rate. Like, I would never do that. So, the idea is that when you animate something, so also we're going to arc this. This is also good arcing practice. So when you animate something, normally you're doing it frame by frame, which is essentially blinking every single time that something moves. So, what that ends up looking like is, whilst it can be smooth and fluid, is still very much a bit of an art. Moving from point A to B and spacing and figuring all of that kind of stuff out, right? You're wanting to kind of gauge out exactly where things go. And you can't, it's not necessarily fluid, it's just the illusion of motion. Frame by frame animation is, by definition, the illusion of motion. It is. I would argue. It is not true motion, it is the illusion of motion. It is taking pictures and making them look like they're moving. That is what frame by frame animation is, regardless if it is 2D or 3D. Because there has been 3D frame by frame animation, which sounds like a pain, because that sounds really hard. So, in the case of frame by frame animation, you have motion. You have motion because you're seeing a series of frames where the object moves between frames, moving forward through the fourth dimension. The thing about interpolation is when done correctly, because it is a computer-generated thing, not a frame-generated thing. I think that's the important thing for people to remember, is interpolation is computer-generated, not frame-generated. Interpolation is when you take, you plug into a computer this, you plug this point in, and you plug this point in, and then the computer maths out from point A to B. And that can actually look good, and it can save time. The distinction is people apparently have been plugging frame-by-frame animation into a program to poop out frame-generated frames. That's not even really interpolation, because you're not mathing anything. The computer is guessing what the frame should be between them and adding a tween. Because in the case of this, you're telling the computer, this is point A and this is point B, and get the lines to where they need to be. Whereas in the case of frame generation, you're showing the computer an entire picture and an entire other picture and saying, get it from point A to B. Computers don't know how to do that well. Period, question mark. Yet, that's not necessarily a good thing with that yet there. If the yet ever happens, sure. But right now, and for a long time, computers can't do that. They can't interpret very well. So, interpolation can work and look really good in very specific ways, in very small, like, you have to actually really guide the computer to, like, utilize interpolation correctly. But it isn't better. It isn't necessarily better. It's just a tool. So, Broken Arrow only runs at like 50 frames during heavy combat, but you can deal with that. Exactly. Also, I do think that flip side, gamers sometimes get a little pretentious when their computer just has a problem. I'm gonna call it out when the computer just has a problem. Sometimes frame drops happen. You get a fucking memory leak and you have to restart a game, restart a program, restart your computer. It happens. But that's the thing, again. And some of the arguments that people have been saying to like defend AI interpolation and AI generation for animations to fix animations is to be like, well, if people don't want frame generated animations, why don't they just draw the animations at the frame at 48 frames a second, 60 frames a second? And this is where I feel a sense of pride through my own independent study, through my own development as an artist and an animator. Guess what fucking numbers I came to do animation at? It was 24 frames a second on 2s. That is the standard, and it is a standard for two very important reasons. The first one, the most important one, it looks good, and the second one, the second most important one, it's possible in an understandable amount of time. Like, we have found the number. I even, through side study and my own reasoning and logic, agree we found the number. I tried 30 frames per second, and guess what? Tried to do that at 2s, left me at an awkward place where I was trying to draw 15 frames, and it's harder to break that up because 24 frames fits in this really, really good spot of you can draw on 2s, 4s, 8s, and 8s. You can draw on 2s, 4s, and 8s, and cut it down to what you need. Like that is and it's effective and it's efficient. This is really what it is. It's really efficient. You can't do it at 30s because as soon as you try to break 30s up, 30 only breaks by 2 or 3s. And you can't really break 3s down into 2s. And 2s is what you want to get to. 2s and 1s is what you want to get to. Because you get to 3s, it's okay. It's all right, but it's pretty much agreed upon that 2s is the golden standard. You use 2s is the golden standard, and 1s is the icing. You know, if you want to make a cake, your 2s is gonna be the cake, and your 1s is gonna be the icing on that cake. I'm not gonna be doing 1s, by the way, and if I do 1s, it's only gonna be for maybe 2 parts of this animation. I'll do 1s, but to me, switching between 1s and 2s also looks awkward, and I experimented with it. So, consistently speaking, I'm going to be using 2s, almost only 2s. So, so all that to say is like the argument of like you don't want AIs to take over animation and take your jobs, like, get some taste, buddy. Appreciate the fucking art form. I don't know. Not you, chat. You guys are fine. If you were on that side, I don't think you'd be watching me animate. I don't think you'd watch anyone animate because you would just scoff and go, "Why are you taking all this time to animate? A computer can just do it." So, I forgive you. Because, yeah, like, animation. The reason why I do animation is not because it is easy. The reason why I do animation is because it's magic. It's actual magic. Like, there is a certain amount of magic to AI that is bizarre. And a part of me, at least at one point, was like, this is wild to me. This is bonkers to me. Though as time has gone on, I'm starting to be like, even though I want to make a bit out of this, even though I always want to make a bit out of this and everything, might be getting close to a time where we kind of retire the old AI bit, because I don't. The last impression I want to give at the end of any stream at this point is to be like, I think AI is okay. I don't think AI is okay. The only reason why I was using it was because at one point I thought it was really funny, because it is really funny. And it's not getting funny anymore. So I'm like, should I keep doing that bit? I don't know. I might actually talk to my friends about that. Which is funny because I actually think in a vacuum it is still funny. I love seeing what Bing does. Bing is a good Bing. I love Bing, and there is a certain amount of enjoyment that I get out of seeing whatever an AI generator will poop out. Like that's fun to me. The problem is it's not being used for that. And the problem is it is being used irresponsibly to take advantage of things and take advantage of people. I'm using it irresponsibly because I think it's stupid. And I want to maintain that. But I also don't want to give the impression that by using it at all, it's okay to use. Because. But also, it's like, I'll admit, my friends have used it for tabletop and stuff for private use. And it's like using it for private use is fine because they're not artists. They don't draw. They don't do anything like that. Like they're not. They're just wanting an image to go to something. They just want an image generated. So I'm not in disagreement of understanding like that the value of image generation when you yourself can't do that. But it is still awkward. It's an awkward point now. So. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to feel about it because I do think that it is becoming a problem, but I don't want to be like no one should use it because it's not that it doesn't have uses. So, I don't know. It's tough. But I definitely think I am less inclined to want to use it these days. I mean, Chat GBT on the whole, I'm just like, I've never even. People use Chat GBT all the time, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I will just look at. I would. Why wouldn't you just Google it? And Google has an AI now, anyways. Fuck. It's not always good either. AI's Google. Google's AI kind of cracks me up sometimes. It is. It's dude. I had God. I I can't. This must have been an image I found, but I swear that I saw this. But it probably was a screen caps because I can't remember exactly. But I swear it was like it was just like somebody googled like uh uh tips on like I don't know how to do something just inane. I don't remember the subject. The subject's not important. And then Google AI's response was like, "This is a way you could do it." Also, user Fishfryer59 on Reddit also says to kill yourself. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's pretty funny. You're so wrong, Google, and you know what? It's funny. It's pretty good. That's pretty funny. Fiction back, man. We all forgot about Tay, but that's a little. You know what? We shouldn't talk about Tay. It's a little bit too real right now. Too real right now. Don't like to think about the country I'm currently living in. It's not great here. Very mad about it all the time. Mm-hmm. It is awkward though. It's getting to the point to be like, where do we go? Where does anyone go anymore? No, I really don't. I wouldn't say I necessarily want to leave the US, but I certainly am not inclined to want to stay. Not that I've ever really felt the best about the US, though. That has gotten better as time has gone on. Still, there are elements about it that I'm just like, I wonder if things would have been different if I just literally would have lived somewhere else. Then again, I would have met a lot of the great people I have met. So I've still met great people in the US. Just sucks that the US kind of sucks right now. Not their fault either. Also doesn't help that right now have reasons to look outside of the US. Very specific reasons. Is a pretty place? Depends on where you go. It's also a really bland place in my opinion sometimes. That said, Kansas mountains. There are no mountains in Kansas. The pretty parts of Kansas are probably you're looking at western Kansas. Eastern Kansas is okay. Eastern Kansas forests are good. Western Kansas. Central Kansas is nothing. It's a desert full of grass. And then anywhere mountains. The Appalachians are supposed to be amazing. I would love to go visit the Appalachian Mountains. Utah doesn't deserve to be as much of a shit show of a state to exist for how nature-wise it is maybe the prettiest state in the country. And yet, it still is a nightmare to live there. The Mormons don't deserve Utah. Just saying. They deserve Nevada. Nevada ain't even that bad. That's the thing is like I think Nevada, the thing I liked about Vegas, generally speaking, was it still like was like pretty once you got outside of the strip. I feel like I think deserts can be very 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 cool. They can be very cool environments. They can be very interesting environments. Cool is a very bad word to use for the desert. Yeah. Move arm a little bit more that way. A little bit more. I feel like I have an answer to that, but I don't think I'm allowed to say. Actually, if we're talking like ultimately, probably somewhere east. Yapping. Yapping. Just move back to the Philippines. Screw it. I don't know why why I left. My body is designed to live there, not here. Though arguably it again, it likes the hot dry a lot better than the wet dry, so I might not actually like the Philippines. Like I said, I did not mind Nevada that much. Nevada was not that bad. Um I mean like we went outside when it was 109 and it felt bad. Like it felt I was like this is not great, but I would just go inside. Eh. To Australia? Australia? I don't know if I'd move to Australia, though I do like a lot of the animals in Australia. I do think it's really cool. Man, YouTube randomly recommended me Mr. Irwin, and I'm glad that they did. I have a deeper appreciation for him. Like I said, I've been watching a lot. I've been engaging a lot more with like dinosaur content and animal content recently, though. I always have engaged with animal content since college. I was keeping up with Z Frank. It's always been there. The interest has always been there. But like kind of more recently gone out of my way to like actually get back into some animal content and man, Mr. Irwin Mr. listen, Mr. Irwin and Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers all get to go to the same circle of heaven, and Billy Mays is trapped in purgatory somewhere. Billy Mays is trapped somewhere in purgatory. Rest in peace, though. I mean, I'm not gonna. He's still dead. I'm not gonna. Dead people are still dead. I'm not gonna be that mean. Unless they were really bad. And all that I know about Mr. Mays is that he's just kind of a jerk, which I think deserves being stuck in purgatory. Like, that doesn't deserve you in hell, but he didn't seem like that great of a guy, apparently. Stylos, you give me a sit rep on that, because I feel like you might be the reason why I'm biased to think that Billy Mays was not a great guy. Also, speaking of dinosaurs and stuff, as I've tried to keep up with, obviously a lot of my dinosaur art and whatnot, having gotten way more invested in it, especially recently, especially because I feel like I've been on the longest kick of like being able to make art just in general that I've had since college, which is great. I'm not stopping now. I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. I have picked up a dinosaur game. This one has found a dinosaur game. I will probably stream Path of Titans. I have been playing it a little bit obsessively recently, and I'm a little like, I hope I can get done quickly so I can be a dinosaur before I go to bed. I don't, what really, really sucks is it's not even, like, if I stream it, it'll both be good and I think bad at the same time, because what I like about it is that it can kind of be boring sometimes. I just want to be a dinosaur. I just want to be a dinosaur. I'm fucking 32 years old and I still just want to be a dinosaur. And Path of Titans ended up being pretty good. I remembered actually getting it gifted to me about a year or two ago by Jackson's wife, Savannah, a good friend. Uh, and at first I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. I actually kind of like the other one that she gifted, which I also have Beasts of Bermuda, which I've kind of come around on to go the opposite direction. Because Womble actually had a video on, believe it or not, the Isle that made me go, the way that he describes the Isle is something that I picked up on in Beast of Bermuda that could be cool, but with a glaring issue. One of the biggest issues with Beast of Bermuda is actually that it doesn't have an upper limit. And thus, really, there is no viable PvP in Beast of Bermuda, because ideally, the only way to engage with the PvP of Beast of Bermuda is to literally be playing the game more than anyone else. I don't believe that is good video game design, especially in a game where you interact with other people. That is bad video game design. And the reason why I bring that up is because the Isle, from my understanding, but the reason why I do not support the Isle is because it is a dumpster fire every time I. I mean, that's why I hate Tarkov. That's why I actually kind of like this other game. Um, I'm never playing Tarkov. I'm never playing Tarkov again. I tried it one more time, and I was like, this game sucks. That's bad. I got head-eyed by a fucking by an NPC scav on like my second to last, or no, my last one, after finally having a run where I didn't immediately get fucking hunted down by a griefer or something, and was like, fuck this game. I no, nope. Literally was trying to leave, and I was like, this game fucking sucks. No. Anyways, the problem with Beast of Bermuda is that you can grow infinitely. You can literally grow forever. Uh, you can literally. Oh, so they do have a PvE mode. I've heard about that. Well, what's funny is there's a PvE um there's a PvE game that James and I were looking at called Incursion that was interesting, but I don't want to give Nikita my time. They also, much like the Isle, kind of actually appropriate for that as well, are usually full of some bullshit. So I'm I still feel a little based on the whole cheater debacle and everything with Nikita and everything like that. I'm just like I kind of feel like they need to be boycotted just like a little bit. Same with the Isle. Um, which is why I pleasantly can report that the Path of Titans is quite good. The Path of Titans is quite good. Um, it's a good medium, you know? Like, from my understanding, the Isle maybe has a little bit more polish, maybe, kind of. But um, the big difference is that Path of Titans is still, like, not janky. It's actually not janky like Beast of Bermuda is. Another thing, you can infinitely grow. Beast of Bermuda, you could literally, as long as you don't die, have a dinosaur growing for months and get payout, if that makes sense. Like you will get statistical payout. You will be have more health and be stronger than dinosaurs, who literally have not lived for months. About probably the only difference is you probably move slower or something like that. But like for some people, that's appealing that you can put that much time in. I fucking can't. I fucking can't. And it's not the reason why I play that game. I don't play it to power game. Um, the thing I like about Path of Titans as like a medium is, and from my understanding, is it's a valid competitor to the Isle, for one, and for two, you can only grow so big. For starters, you can only grow so big. I have mixed feelings on this next part, but I think it's a net positive no matter what, because I could see the advantage of the opposite of this. Um, you when you die in Path of Titans, you don't lose that dinosaur, if that makes sense. You just lose a little bit of growth progress. That's it. At least the server that I play on. I'm sure there's a lot of modularity to the game, of course, and I'm sure you could have it if you restart on death. I'm sure that's an option. But the server I play on that I've really been enjoying, you do not. You do not restart on death. All you do is you lose a little bit of progress to your size, and if you were max size, you like go to the bottom of the step that you were at when you died. Um, so like that, and it doesn't take long. It takes like less than another 20 or 30 minutes to get back to full size, so you're back to full strength. That's one reason why I think that's a good thing. The bad thing I think that is about that is an inadvertent consequence is you don't see small prey. You do not see small prey, which can be a problem in a game that is about emulating an ecosystem. Because it means that since players aren't forced to play smaller all the time, you don't some dinosaurs do not have as many prey options by necessity because people, even if they die, do not die to a size that would make them equitable to dinosaurs a size down from them, if that makes sense. So it does mean that, like, if you are a medium size or a small size dinosaur, you're not going to see very much medium to small size prey if a lot of people are playing large dinosaurs. However, I think the way that they counterbalance that is one, they made medium sized prey kind of a good balance, at least the server that I was on. Again, there's a lot of modularity. And as I'm playing it more, just the population and popularity of certain sizes of dinosaurs is handled well enough that you can find prey. You can find prey, and you can fight equally sized to smaller dinosaurs if you know where to go and where to look. Um, so thus the game, as Womble has kind of put it, becomes less of a Tarkov survival game or less of a DayZ survival game and becomes an emulated ecosystem, which is actually really cool and gives me the excuse to roleplay as a dinosaur, something I've been doing since I was 10 years old, since I was 5 years old. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be real here. I've been role playing a dinosaur since I figured out how to make the velociraptor hands with my hands. So, um, but yeah, one of the things that Path of Titans does do pretty well, and the reason why it's like, then why don't you go play the Isle? Is just like I just don't want to give the Isle my money. I don't want to give them my support. And there's word on the scuttlebutt is that the development of Path of Titans is partly due to disgruntled ex-developers working on the Isle. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'll support them because clearly they have a problem too. Outside of that, you know, the thing that makes the Isle, or not the Isle, the Path of Titans kind of like interesting and fun that I kind of like about it, that I wouldn't mind streaming because it would like be just a good chill game, is I like to describe it as an I like to describe it as a kind of screensaver. Screensaver, not saber. So for anyone out there who was born or one who was born, I'm gonna say before 2005. Nah, I'm gonna say born around 2000 probably, because I'm sure once you started getting older, these were no longer really a thing. I'm thinking like maybe screensavers were a thing in 2005, but definitely not after like 2008. I don't think anybody used screensavers anymore. I definitely don't. But there was a screensaver once upon a time that was like things like Pipe Dream, and there was one that was like an emulated goldfish tank. Just had goldfish. You can watch the goldfish moving around, whatever. I like to describe Path of Titans as a screensaver, is one of those goldfish screensavers where you're also one of the goldfish, and sometimes the other goldfish will decide to eat you. And that's what I actually get out of it. Because on the server that I play, which is a semi-realism server, which means, says on the Tim, it's semi-realism. Like, they have rules. You're going to have rules. There's not really game mechanics to be able to... There are game mechanics to necessitate it, but there's a certain amount of social expectation to necessitate it. You can't really mechanically enforce the kind of things that a semi-realism server does. You are not always in danger, actually. A lot of times, I am just kind of sitting around watching other players interact with each other and players interact with me. Like a screensaver, like watching the goldfish in the screensaver bubble around and move around. The twist is, if you're playing as a predator, let me rephrase that. If you're playing as a carnivore, you're playing as a carnivore, and or there are other carnivores around, there is a soft-spoken piece that is broken by a unilateral mechanic of hunger. And weirdly enough, there's a social interaction there that even doesn't make me feel all that bad when you get essentially hunted. Because when it's right, when it's really right, you don't run into assholes who are just going on murder sprees. The only reason you should die in that game is because a predator got hungry or because you fucked up a hunt. Those are the only times you die in that game. And the way that that is maintained, actually, is a really fascinating social experiment in which they call it body down. And the way that it works is if a predator or a carnivore is hunting, and in the effort of that hunt, if they catch prey, and even if the prey is in a group, if someone goes down, all hunting stops and the hunter and the carnivore eats. And depending on the server, carnivores really aren't even allowed to engage in hunts unless they can validate it with like, yeah, I had to eat. Like you can't just randomly start going around killing everyone. Um and it works. I think it actually works, and it makes for a fun kind of like a a a a chill time that can turn into a lot of good tension, because in a certain sense what is happening is players aren't killing each other for fun, they're killing each other for a reason. And it's fun. So you're not just getting killed randomly all the time. It can even go so far that the server that I play on, herbivores really can't aggress unless they are being hunted or unless they give a fair warning to give a carnivore or another herbivore a chance to back off. Like there's a social element to it. Like it isn't just you're a bunch of dinosaurs. It's weird to say that it works as a social game more than it works as a video game. It is dinosaurs. It is it is dinosaurs' second life is what it is. And it works because it works better as a social experience, not as a video game. It works better as Among Us. It does, because I have had times where I'm just sitting on a rock as Deinonychus watching a pack of allosaurs hunt down a stegosaurus. That's the screensaver goldfish part. And then flip side, I'd be roaming around, and then suddenly I would get chased by a Dilophosaurus. That's the flip side when one of the goldfish decided to try to eat me. Like, it's just kind of fun to also just sit and watch and see what happens. So, and Womble puts it really well. I totally agree with him. It's hard to really feel bad about dying in that game, especially in Path of Titans, because if they're playing by the rules, yeah, they just did it because they were hungry. I've actually, yeah, the only times that I like aggress on something or someone is if my hunger meter is like below half. That's it. They gotta eat food. So I'll probably stream it because if nothing else, it'd just be a good chat stream too. It'd be like like if you just want to like put something on and have it be a vibe. I did joke though. I did joke to someone, Orton. I did joke to somebody that I was like, I'm gonna have to figure out a good David Attenborough or Oprah impression, because I do like the thought of just kind of like being an observer half the time and just being like, ah, yes, here we can see a pack of Dilophosaurus running down a Triceratops as it tries to flee. See in the way that they flank. And that's the thing. That's the crazy thing. I've been in a big pack. I've been in a big pack of 2 Utah Raptors and like 5 to 6 Deinonychus. And we had a moment where we were chasing down prey. And it was like a moment out of fucking Jurassic Park or a documentary, and you see us just naturally split apart in groups and like flank around this other dinosaur, and it's like magic. It's dope. It's really cool. You have to encode the rules, otherwise things fail in anything larger than a small community. Which I will give this game credit. Usually the admins are good enough at their job that they can enforce that kind of thing, and are like good at giving warnings, and like I do think that they do a pretty good job of handling it. So really all I've described is something that I've always been interested in. It's Space Station 13. And it's Space Station 13 as a dinosaur. That's really what I've described. Or GTA Online, exactly. GTA Online isn't really my thing though, and that's the thing, is like part of the appeal, and Womble kind of goes into it. So I do highly recommend Womble's Isle video if you want an idea of how, because it is applicable to Path of Titans. It is important to reiterate this because Womble even warns that he can't necessarily condone the Isle because of reasons. There are reasons to not support the Isle. I have not found those reasons in Path of Titans. I have not. So all the things that he says about the Isle that are appealing, I think do apply in Path of Titans. And if they would appeal to you, I highly recommend trying it out sometime. And it's fun. It is fun. Um, but yeah, no, the I have actually had the experience of like Dr. Grant being like, see how as they move and flock to move out of the way, like they're trying to avoid a predator, avoid a predator. I experienced that from the other side. It was cool. We were a flock of birds maneuvering together to chase down prey. It was amazing. All this to say, I found it. I found a game where I can be a dinosaur and it makes me happy. You'll of course run into every now and then somebody who you'll run into somebody who doesn't understand the rules or doesn't play it by the rules. Like that's the thing that makes games like Space Station 13 and stuff work is when people understand that following the rules enhances the experience. You're always going to run into griefers and RBers. Like there's nothing you can do about that. It just comes down to can they be mitigated and can you avoid them? Because after a certain point, you do just have to accept somebody's going to join, not listen to the rules or not read the rules, try to kill you, and you just have to be ready for those people. Oh well. They actually aren't in the majority from my experience. So they do happen. Usually the biggest difference is like people who actually like say like GG or good job after or GG or good match after a hunt, whether they won or lost, are usually the people you want to look out for and emulate in a server like that because again, the GG is about whether or not the hunt went well, not just haha I killed you, you know, like because the game is well designed enough, at least from my perspective, I literally just run away. There is a fun art to being chased in that game a little bit. And avoiding becoming prey can be a lot of fun because it isn't as simple as just having to win a fight. Fight and flight is an actual mechanic of the game. And flight is a valid option. I have survived so many things just by running away. You do not have to fight every fight. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to try Arma, but I feel like it's just too difficult to find a good group, which is a shame. I do like the concept of a milsim like that, to be able to have a good mix of some jokiness and some seriousness. And the problem is everything I hear about it, you only get the jokiness when you really find a group that can mesh well, and most of the time they're just kind of the. It also doesn't help that I kind of had some meh. I had one particularly meh experience with Arma, unfortunately, in which I was trying to be like I had been talking to somebody. We were kind of dating. It didn't last very long, but they were an Arma person and they played Star Wars Arma, and I was like, I'm really into piloting, and this would be what I would want to do. And for some reason, they were just like, if you joined, you like you seem to be a good pilot, but I'd rather you on the ground. And it's like, no, if I'm gonna play Arma, I'm a pilot. I'm gonna do piloting things. This is my thing. And if I can't do that, I probably will not enjoy Arma. I literally would I literally would want to do nothing but main being a cargo pilot. That is exactly what I enjoy out of those kinds of experiences. So I just had a weird, awkward experience where somebody was like, but I essentially was like, which was really frustrating for me because my perspective is pretty much just, why would you not want the person you like to be flying your helicopters? In my opinion, but that's just me. Like I said, that was a really short thing. A few like I want to say it was like a long time ago. Otherwise, like every time I play Arma, which is like a small group of friends or whatever, I've always liked it. I've never understood why it was so hard to like find an Arma thing. I never did. I like I like social games. I like social games a lot. Arma is a really good social game. So, gotcha. I remembered liking the Apache quite a bit. It was a lot of fun, as well as the F-14. I remember landing the F-14 without wheels. I still will never not appreciate that I did that. And then still be a little salty that uh I was getting yelled at by the fucking ATC for not getting off the runway when it just literally landed without wheels. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I haven't really run into too much drama with Path of Titans. It's been pretty decent, honestly. Like, I actually think that I've run into like one guy who was kind of being a drama queen in chat, but I made the mistake of getting in between two people when I saw something that maybe I it was more vigilante anyways, so I like dropped the subject anyways because like I can't even confirm or deny if this was you. I just saw somebody doing this where somebody was like somebody had like mentioned an herbivore had just like walked up and started attacking and killing them when they were trying to drink water, and their excuse that they gave was you made me feel uncomfortable because they were a carnivore, and they were like all I did was walk up and drink water. I was not being threatening. I was severely harmed. Like I'm kind of in his camp. Like from my understanding, herbivores can't just kill people for no reason. But he was like, but I gave warnings. And I was like, well, I wasn't there, so I can't say whether or not he was or wasn't. But I'm on the carnivore side because it doesn't sound like he aggressed on you at all. And I have a hot take. I'm not going to, especially if I'm playing an herbivore in that game, I will not aggress on anyone unless they are. You have to, like, be directly pointed at me. I will walk away from you before anything else. Like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily on that guy's side because being uncomfortable in any setting does not dictate suddenly goring someone. But then again, that is kind of how animals work in real life too, to a certain extent. They can be made uncomfortable by anything. I'm not in denial of that. Still, seemed fishy. Seemed like more of an excuse to randomly kill someone and be a bully than it was to legitimately protect yourself. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Ah, shit. Ah, beans, I have eye shrinkage. I hate when that. See, this is why you gotta move back and forth sometimes. You don't know what you miss in some frames if you're not adjusting stuff. This probably be just a little here. All that to say, I'm hooked on that game. It's been quite fun. And again, it's just like kind of a nice the thing I really like about it is generally speaking, probably says more about me than anything else. It's just like a nice thing that I can put on while I do other things, which is why I'm like, damn it, that's what drawing tweens was supposed to be. I'm like, but really I should be doing that with my tweens, but that's work, and the other one is being a literal dinosaur. Actually, no, we'll keep it this way for now. I was trying to think if I'm if Canary is rotating hand at all. Might be. I haven't decided that yet. Also, if you like Moe Jazz, Flat Frog is great. Flat Frog is awesome. I love Flat Frog. Flat Frog is fantastic. I still am sad that I can't find Submarine. I've tried looking it up so many times. Submarine is the first flat frog that I had ever heard. I listened to it all the time in college, and then it disappeared off of YouTube, and I haven't been able to find it since. And it never got reposted, which makes me sad. Do something like that. Eh, more like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some flat frogs out there. You should look up a Pac-Man frog. That's a flat frog. How much is Path of Titans? I actually don't know. I think it's $20. The thing is you cannot get it off Steam. You have to get it off their proprietary service. Let's see. Can you give me a value? Can you tell me how much? Okay, here we go. PC and mobile full access, $30. $30. And then $50 all exclusive backer skins. So yeah, $30. And I believe the only thing you're losing out on is like optional skins. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yup. You should also look up a pixie frog. Pixie frogs are even more a bit of a monstrosity. They're just a mouth with legs. Pac-Man frogs and pixie frogs are just mouths with legs and teeth. Pac-Man frogs particularly have very big teeth, and I would know. I've There's more to the story than just I've been bitten by one. I actually was trying to rescue a friend of mine who had her finger inside of a Pac-Man frog, and we got both of our fingers stuck inside the mouth of a Pac-Man frog. They got teeth, man. They're big. It was incredible. Our fingers touched inside of the Pac-Man frog. It was a good bonding moment. It was so adorable. Both of our fingers were stuck inside of a frog. Uh-huh. Perfect. Oh, I've learned the power of the fill tool now. It is very, very nice. It is very nice just to be able to be like, nope, nope, boop. Except sometimes when it doesn't work, then it's annoying. I'm like, come on, man. Pixie frogs look wise. Pixie frog looking wise. Pixie frog looking motherfucker. There we go. Boop. This actually makes sense, because if she's just moving her hand down, then it really doesn't have to move that far. Hydrate bot. Diogenes. I'd love to see a drunk pixie frog. That'd be amazing. The funny thing is things like Pac-Man frogs and pixie frogs are big enough and have big enough mouths that they can and do eat baby chickens. They relatively often eat small vertebrates. Their bodies are designed for it. Like I said, they are just mouths with legs. They don't really move. They don't even really have jumping anymore. They are just mouths with legs. Uh-huh. They just gone zoom. I didn't miss. I probably missed something. Let's see. The eyes do get bigger. Hmm. I'll just leave it like that for now. All right. Well, good night. Thanks for stopping by. Take it easy. I can't stop any of you from watching me at 4 a.m. You all decide to do that. Can't stop you. Should be wrapping up here soon anyways. Yeah, it's almost 3 hours. For getting back into it, I think I did well. Uh-huh. That would require me to stream at 4 a.m., Silos, and you know that. What is it about... I feel like that's a thing. Like, if I actually look at analytics online a lot, they're like, the best times to stream are, like, at bumfuck in the morning, and I'm like, why? Why are there so many people up at that time? Like, what are you doing at 4 a.m.? Come on now. What am I doing at 4 a.m.? Trying to sleep. Anytime I'm woken up at 4 a.m., I'm just like, God, I want to die. Why am I awake? Hence why 5 a.m. flights can suck my 5 a.m. flights can suck my dick. They're awful. Why would you have why would you have at such a time? Why would you have at such a time? I just couldn't understand. Yep, I almost got it. Not bad. One of the biggest things I constantly need to work on is like definitely the face changes a lot through this, and consistent design is difficult. Like I feel like that's one of the hardest things is like, and that's why a lot of animation is practicing drawing over and over and over again, and it's really encouraged that you should be like doing a lot of like the same things over and over again so that way you keep the proportions constant because God knows it is really easy to lose it's really easy to lose a sense of proportion sometimes. Especially with the way that I draw. Like, I find that typically I like to draw things a little bit different almost every single frame, which is a curse for me. Rough. Nope. I do have an arc. I'm gonna try to keep the arc there. So, like, yeah, because this is like almost coming out. One of the things, and I need to do some research on this. Oh, yeah, I gotta remember. And I just need to read it. But I'm reading another book right now, and that book is really good. Always had to remember to keep open the Animator's Survival Guide, um, because it's good. And if I ever read anything in it, then I'm like, this is kind of insightful. I'd like to talk about this about animation. Um, one of the things I want to figure out a little bit better, which is always like tough and rough for me to figure out, is like how to keep things consistently spaced and sized. So like that's something that's really difficult for me is like to keep things consistently spaced and shaped because it's really easy I think a lot of times to like just like go with the flow, and the irony is going with the flow is not necessarily good for animation because if you're going with the flow, you're going with the flow, you're going with the flow. Hey, you've now drawn 5 frames of animation going with the flow and it's different every frame. shape you started with is not the shape you ended with. How do you fix that? How do you fix that? And so far, what I've found is that it just takes some time. Takes some time and getting like used to figuring out how to keep stuff kind of organized, I guess. Which is difficult. I think it's difficult to be able to uh, keep it that way. So that said, a lot of illustration for me, especially with animation, is about like kind of like thinking about the way that like shapes kind of apply to stuff. So you're working a lot more on like planes and stuff like that. You're not really working with, you know, an illustration. You're working a lot with like three-dimensional shapes in a two-dimensional space. Or you're working no, other way. You're working in a three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional medium. That is something that is like you have to be cognizant of that. So that's why a lot of times animation you don't really have super detailed stuff because really speaking, you want those shapes to be something that you can manipulate in a way consistently. And making it harder makes it harder, which is why anybody out there who looks at still frames of an animation versus the manga and goes, why the animation look bad, need to have their tongue ripped out of their head. I'm only kind of slightly exaggerating. It's along with the interpolating animation thing, it's really frustrating to hear people criticize animation without any sense of scope into what goes into animation. Like the idea that if if they wanted to follow the manga, that they should have just drawn the frame the exact same way with all of the little details that the manga has is absolutely insanity to me. That said, show me the animation, and if the animation looks like poop, then sure. But if the animation looks good, I don't give two shits how good the cell looks compared to the manga, though there is an argument and a literal fundamental of animation, which is just good old fashioned drawing. Just make a good drawing. Literally, one of the fundamentals of animation is draw good. Which kind of makes me mad, but it's not wrong. And like, it makes sense why it's one of the fundamentals, but you can't just tell people to draw good. That feels mean. Want to do animation? Just draw, idiot. Just be good at art. It's like saying like just be good at art. They're not wrong, and I know it's not meant to be a mean thing. It's just genuinely like, hey, if you're really gonna care about animation, if you're really gonna care about animation, you need to be caring about your drawing. And drawing is difficult. Drawing can be very, very difficult, especially when it comes to animation. What's funny is like I think I've got a better version of this frame now that I will probably adjust the final frame to because I went ahead and changes to make to the pose, which is totally fine. The other hand come up for a prepare. To show that she's preparing for the pop. She's preparing for the pop. I might throw in a little bit of early aughts humor. Won't be anything super inappropriate, but I do think I know what's gonna happen. And I might vet it to see what people would think of, but I have an idea. Because it's not supposed to be mean, but it would be funny to me. It would be funny to me. I don't necessarily know if it'd be good, but it would be funny to me. There we go. Here, we'll make that modification. I'm trying to make her not look. Hmm. Or like that, maybe? And I will say this is something I've noticed that I'm overall being much more careful about, right? Is like I'm like being much more intentional with where I'm starting to put those lines. So that way I don't have to go back and hopefully do 1,000 new drawings because I'm actually paying attention where the overlap is. And that's really what it just comes down to building up that kind of like muscle memory to be like, "Oh, that's the shape I want, huh?" There we go. I like me a good pursed lip. Ooh, I like me a good pursed lip. We're probably gonna do that. That's what we're gonna do. I'll probably go back on that too. That way it appears. Oh, I need to actually I need to finish the drawing. I'll probably finish the drawing, then we'll call it there. Yeah. I'll have to figure out some timing because I think I want it to have a little bit more ease. It's got some good acceleration to it though, and I like that. I like that it accelerates down, like they move down a little bit, and then it goes down. I do like that. Let me finish the drawing. I need to finish the drawing. It helps when you finish the drawing. I had neglected to finish the drawing. Oops. Whoopsie. Just like that, it's that easy to draw 5 frames of animation. Actually, I made good progress today. We're setting up. We're setting up for the pop. And then we'll do the pop. And then we'll do one more action, and then she walks off screen. And that's how long it takes to animate literally anything. And I'm just doing this once a week. That's the important thing to remember is, like, this is once a week for 3 hours a day. This is what you can do. And if I had more time to dedicate to it, I'd probably get it done a lot faster. But also, it'd require me doing almost like 8 hours days doing this, which also sounds really tough. So. But remember, AI can just generate the tweens now, and it will look great. Don't. Guys, don't AI generate frames. It's bad. It's bad. I need to draw that ear back in. Yep, that works. It works. I might change the proportions a little bit, but it works. I might actually, instead of having it hold, I might remove a couple frames so that way it just goes to grab and then settle. Because at first I thought I wanted to hold it in the air, but that is like very stop and go, right? When in reality, I think it would look better if she was fluidly moving through that motion. Like I do think it would look better that way. Like I have her hold there, have this. I'm gonna try removing here, here, I think. We're just gonna try it. I'm curious. See how this looks, and if this looks good, then we're keeping it. Otherwise, this is the last thing I'm doing. It either works or it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'll undo it and we'll just deal with it next time. And this is why you have to be willing to delete your art. You have to be willing to delete your art sometimes. I actually think if I got rid of one more frame, it would be perfect. Yeah, I think if I got if I got rid of this frame. Oop. That. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that looks better. I'll probably clean it up, but that definitely looks better. That definitely looks better. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna call it there. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back in Kansas. I missed my kid. I missed everybody. It was good. I'm glad. Glad everybody liked it. I like animating. Animating is fun. Animating is good. You can do it. If you're out there, you're like, how can I do this? The answer is you can. You just gotta start. You just gotta start doing it. You just gotta start trying things. You gotta read and you gotta study. Always remember that. You want to do anything, you gotta read and study and try. These are the 3 things you gotta do for anything. That's how you get better to do anything. So if you do that, you too can animate, because I did not start getting better at animating until I started trying it, studying it, and doing it. So, on that wonderful note, I'm going to go ahead and open up. What do you think, chat? After the discussion of AI we had today, should I continue using Bing Create? I'll actually bring this up. I will ask chat if you guys want to use Bing Create. Do you feel comfortable with me using Bing Create? I think I'm still fine. A little edgy about it, but yeah, you think so? Because that's the thing. That's the thing that I want to maintain. I do not support AI. I do not support AI generation from the standpoint of utilizing it to replace people's work. I do like laughing at the results. So, you're not wrong. And part of it's going to be happen to push back. So, that said, still here. Well, I opened up Bing Create, which is an image generator, and if you want to participate, all you got to do is type in chat. Whatever chat says will also use as a reference, and then I'll share the image before we rate out. So, look at yourself, Bing. Do you want to be making images? You want to add to that? You want to add to that? What do you want to add to that, guys? Is there anything you want to add to that? Welcome back sign. Okay, gotcha. I know what to say. Look at yourself, Bing. You want to be making images? MCCanary said to Bing as they held up a welcome back sign to welcome them back home. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna let that cook. Bing, are you gonna take it? Kill him. Kill him, Silos. For me. Kill him for me. Kill him. Well, I did get something, so I'm going to start closing down the stream. So thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by and chatting and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time to go back and rewatching the VOD. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this, and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following or clicking any of the links. There's a link to an Instagram, Facebook, a Twitter, and a Discord. We post when we go live on any one of those platforms, as well as anything else that we're up to. And just generally, you can come hang out with the rest of the community on there. Good time in the Discord. Speaking of which, a shout out to our community on there and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience and we appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Make sure to also hashtag with MCCanary or link it back to the stream so people can find more of the good stuff we do here. And if you want to see the stream grow, you gotta let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream, and I encourage you guys to do it more. It does help us out. It's super rad that you guys have been willing to do that. So go tell people about the stream. Go tell your friends about the stream. I won't. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to continue to expand the stream as well as take on more projects, and the stream would not be made possible without viewers like you, so we thank you. If you want to see your name added to this list as well as a couple of the benefits you can get, you can always subscribe directly on Twitch, or you can check out the Patreon page here. It'll show you everything that you can get, and any amount is always appreciated. Once again, thank you. And thank you, Drew Monster, for a wonderful job holding back the road and becoming famous. Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out and chatting. Hope you had a good time. I'm glad everybody came and watched. I'm glad to be back. Glad I went to Las Vegas. It was a good time. It was a good time. If you can go to Vegas, I recommend it. If you like things in Vegas. If you don't, can't recommend it. So, stick around. I'll get you through housekeeping and get you on your way. Check out the rest of our friends at Goblin Entertainment here. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything that they've been up to, and the rest of my stuff here, which has everything that I post to. So go check everybody out in Goblin Entertainment. And stick around. We'll go say hi to Brad. Go tell him that we're back, that I'm back, that I'm back from my trip in Vago. Go tell him that we got back from La Vago. So, everybody go say hi to him. He's a good guy. Otherwise, have yourselves a good evening. Take it easy. And remember, you can... A week of not drawing isn't enough time to stop drawing. I haven't animated in 3 to 4 weeks, and I got right back into it. And 48 frames a second on 2s is not viable because it's expensive. Really, really expensive.